Welcome to this presentation. The topic of this presentation is Introduction to Piping Engineering. I've divided this introduction into few parts. This is the first part of introduction where we are going to cover these following 5 parts. First one will be the global oil and gas value chain, where we will discuss about upstream, midstream and downstream. Then we'll try to understand what is the scope of piping engineer, where this piping engineering is used. To understand this piping engineer, we'll try to cover 3 topics, introduction to these 3 topics like piping layout, piping stress, and piping materials. So let's start with the global oil and gas value chain. If you see in this figure, the upper part is upstream oil and gas, we generally call it offshore, and then midstream, then downstream. We divided it into 3 parts. In upstream, mostly the exploration take place. Okay, then the raw crude or gas is transferred to the midstream area where the storage and distribution is taking place. Then the feed from this midstream is transferred to downstream area. Generally, we call it onshore platforms, onshore area, where manufacturing, refining take place. Along with that, wholesale and marketing of this product is also taking place. So let us start with the definition of piping study. If you see, piping study is nothing but half science and half art. Art means if a person who is doing the piping layout is creative and his visualization is very good, then he can come up with very beautiful layouts. Along with this art, some certain established norms we have to follow. Then only we can come up with a proper layout. So let us have a look what is the scope of this piping engineering, where it is used. It is used in chemical process industries, pharmaceutical, power plant, and along with this long distance LNG, LPG, CNG piping systems. And major areas of work, how we complete our piping engineering, we have to do piping layout, piping stress, and piping material. We'll discuss all these 3 areas in detail in coming slides, but in this video we are going to cover the introduction part only. Let us see what is piping layout. If you see in any refinery, in any plant, gas plant, everywhere we have few equipment, buildings, structures, platforms, ladders, stairs. So piping layout is nothing but the arrangement of these things, but as per engineering codes and standards. Most of the time the piping routing is done according to the P&ID. P&ID is a process document which is base foundation for layout people. We'll discuss in detail this piping P&IDs, process and P&ID diagram. Along with this, we have to fulfill few stress requirements, supporting, and not only this thing, but the accessibility to all instrumentation valves, erection of equipment, maintenance, and other statutory regulations. So what we are expecting from piping layout people, the piping layout should be feasible from construction point of view. Whatever we do, we should take into consideration the construction constraints. They should not face any kind of problem while erection, maintenance, and operation. So this is the main priority. Piping layout shall be economical. In this any of the refinery, we have to procure so many things like pipe fittings, equipment, structural requirements. So at every point we have to take care of economical issues. So we have to be very economical. And piping layout should be safe. Safety is the first requirement, and it should be aesthetical. It should look good also. So to prepare this piping layout, many documents are required. For example, the process and instrumentation diagram, that is P&ID, plot plan, equipment layout, and equipment foundation drawing. These things we receive at very preliminary stage at the start of developing of piping layout, and in the main run we develop all these things. That is the main output from piping layout people. Mechanical data sheets, equipment vendor drawings, electrical and instrumentation cable layout, building layout, and line list. Once the piping person receive all these documents, then only he can start developing their piping layouts. is introduction to stress. Piping stress. Now there are so many complicated piping, critical piping, non-critical piping. We call it the piping system. At every point of time, piping system will be carrying some fluid which will be at different temperature, pressure. It will be having its own weight. There will be weight of pipe also. So at different time there will be expansion or contraction, thermal expansion or contraction. So everything we need to take care. To take care of all these things, we perform stress analysis. That in stress analysis, we ensure that piping is rooted and supported so that no damage occurs to either the pipe or the associated equipment. To perform this stress analysis, stress team require process instrument diagram, equipment layout, and line list. Then comes to piping material. PMS piping material specification is the basic document which is used throughout the life cycle of the project to select the material which we are going to use in construction and fabrication of all process and utility piping. To develop PMS, following documents are required. Process fluid list, which will be given by processing, then process line list for maximum line size, inputs from licensor, these are the feed documents which you receive at the starting of the project, piping design basis, project and E specification, post-weld heat treatment requirements, class rating is decided for valves and flanges, thickness calculation is done for deciding the schedule of the pipe. We'll discuss all these things in detail in coming slides or in coming videos. This is just an introduction. What are the various documents which are required to prepare the PMS? So this was the first part of introduction to piping engineering where we have covered these 5 topics. In next slide, which is also on introduction to piping engineering, we'll cover these 3 topics like what are the various piping components, how they look like, the graphical and actual snaps will be there where we can visualize the piping components and how those components are connected to each other and to vessel. Okay, so stay tuned to look at these coming slides.